don't take deposits on any more Sentras because you're not going to get them.
Wow.
Yeah, what would you like us to do? Go into the used car business, was his answer. Wow, look at you. Good looking shirt.
Yeah, what is that supposed to mean?
I'm not sure. Did you starch that shirt?
No, I just took it out of the dryer earlier. That's all.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, thank you, Dad. Our dear friends at findthebestcarprice.com, link down below in the description, findthebestcarprice.com/insider, continued sponsor of your auto advocate. Jeff and his team every month aggregating different lease deals, manufacturer incentives, etc. We're in the new month of October, so go take a peek and see what options are out there if you're in the market to buy a new car or a used car or just any mode of transportation. Take a peek at findthebestcarprice.com/insider.
Yes, take a peek.
Thank you, Pops. Okay,
Nicely
so Dad,
done.
Thank you. Let's hop into today's video. We're going to be talking about the recent news that that Automotive News put out with regards to the state of the market, the state of the car market. We've done our weekly used car and new car market reports, and this will kind of serve as a bit of that. But yeah, Dad, do you mind running us through the report?
Demand rebounds, but supply concerns persist. Seems to be a common theme. Seems to have occurred simply because the manufacturing facilities were shut down for 2 to 3 months in most cases, and the demand for cars has remained strong. Why the ability to produce the cars has as at lower capacity than it had been in the past, so that it has been difficult for new car dealers to maintain the typical stocking levels that they would like for their new cars. The wonderful thing is that nobody really knows what the fourth quarter is going to bring as far as economic stability, because even the Fed has suggested that in order for things to stabilize, we need another stimulus package, and well, the political winds keep shifting, and it's only been, we've gone through August and September without there being any consensus between the Senate and the House as far as another stimulus bill. And so what's the likelihood of it really happening prior to the election? I don't know. So without additional stimulus, everything could change as far as fourth quarter sales are concerned. Some of the troubling data that makes the fourth quarter precarious is the inventory shortages and high unemployment, and other troubling economic data. So I don't know what we're going to see along those lines. One of the things that we are seeing is that right now, at the present time, the Detroit Big Three, Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors, they're running at a 49-day supply last week, which is down from a 65-day supply from a year ago. So they're still struggling to get the right inventory levels to their new car dealers. They're thinking that even though output has improved, it could still take possibly into the first quarter of next year for new car inventory levels to get back to where they need them to be.
Got a question for you, Dad. When you were managing dealerships, did you ever experience, and obviously you never managed through a pandemic like this, but did you ever manage through an experience where your day supply of vehicles got real tight real quick? And if so, can you share a little bit about like how that changes how you approach the management process of your inventory?
Yes. Back in the early 80s, I was managing a Nissan dealership outside of Atlantic City in Pleasantville, Admiral Nissan. And we ran into a situation where the federal government decided to limit the number of import vehicles that your Asian manufacturers could bring into the country. So suddenly we went from having as many cars as we wanted to having say, my factory reps say to me, don't take deposits on any more Sentras because you're not going to get them.
Wow.
Yeah, what would you like us to do? Go into the used car business, was his answer. Now, I will tell you that the ways that we circumvented the number of cars that we were allowed to bring in is suddenly there became third-party distributors who would Nissan would ship cars to, say, Guam, okay, which was a U.S. territory, but that didn't count for what was allowed to be brought into the country. And then we could buy cars that had been intended for Guam that could then come into the United States. Now,
wow.
the wonderful thing about doing that is, A, it cost more, okay. B, we oftentimes found ourselves with colors that had not been available in the United States before. So we had some unique vehicles that we had to sell, but that was how we circumvented the guidelines that had been set up. I can also tell you another story about the same dealer when there was a previous shortage, and he bought a boatload of Nissans. They were Datsuns at that time, out of Puerto Rico. And
interesting.
Yeah, and what he discovered once he got the cars to the Philadelphia area where he had another dealership is those cars did not have heaters. They had air conditioning, but they didn't have heaters. So, wow. So he had to make arrangements to buy heaters from Datsun so that he could install them in every one of the cars before we could sell them.
Wow.
Well, you didn't need a heater in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So those were some issues, that I've seen when there's been shortages of inventory. You go into, as the rep said, go into the used car. You're in the used car business now, and whatever new car inventory you get, whatever limited numbers of new car inventory you get, the price is the price because you've got nothing, and that's one of the things we're seeing at a lot of the new car dealerships right now is the discounts are not as great as they had been. Average new car gross profits are higher than they normally are, 3 to 4 times higher than they normally are, because there's a shortage of vehicles, of some types of vehicles, and there's still a strong demand for them. And in many cases, a lot of the cars are sold as soon as they hit the dealership lots, or they're pre-sold before they hit the dealership lots. And
definitely.
So the dealers are able to maintain a slightly higher profit margin in times like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's most surprising to me, and the article talks about it a bit as well, is where the demand is not even across all types of vehicles. And we're a broken record at this point, but it's the pickup trucks. And I think what's so interesting to me is that you would imagine, as we are in this period of, for a lot of people, economic hardship, cheaper cars, those like 10,000 and under used cars would really be where the demand's highest. But we recently did a video, the #1 selling truck of the vehicle in the country. Out of the top 10, it was like 4 out of the top 10 pickup trucks. I mean, everyone is still buying pickup trucks. Who knows what they're hauling or where they're going, but it's pickup trucks. And so, and we've talked about it in our market updates. If you're in the market for something that isn't a pickup truck, you're starting to see wholesale prices start to go down. And so you can imagine in the fourth quarter, they'll continue to go down. But when that makes its way to the retail side is kind of anyone's best guess. But eventually it'll follow because, yeah, like you said, I mean, when supply gets tight, you got to figure out how you're going to get inventory in. And then once you have it, you got to sell it. But the demand is much higher on the pickup truck side than it is in some of these other areas.
And continues to be. And that's why the dealers are pre-selling the cars. I mean, when I was at the mini store when gas was $4.50 a gallon, and we had like 15 new cars on the lot, when everybody was trading in their big pickup trucks and their gas guzzlers. I mean, we would just pre-sell everything. It was sold before it would arrive, and the minute the truck would get in, we would do the pre-delivery inspection on the car. We would contact the customer. We'd say, your car just arrived. You have 72 hours to pick it up. And, the price was the price. And when you're in that situation, it is both frustrating and rewarding. It's frustrating because you have more customers than you can handle because you don't have enough cars for them. But it's rewarding because the amount of profits you're making fattens your commission check. So financially it was rewarding, but professionally it was frustrating because you're always desperate for inventory. You're searching for ways to find inventory. You're trying to do dealer trades when you have limited inventory to trade. It makes life more difficult for the seller and the buyer. And when there's a shortage, it really isn't good for anybody. It's a short-term panacea because there's extra profit, but that's going to go away when the inventories build back up to where they're supposed to be. And right now, we're probably 800 to 900,000 units below in inventory what we would normally be at. So as long as that continues, the consumer is going to be asked to pay a little bit more than they normally would have, and people seem to still be willing to do it because there's just oh my God, somebody rob a bank in your area? Silver Spring is a happening place, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, just the consumer demand is there. It's just that the product levels aren't at the levels that the manufacturers or the dealers would like it to be at.
Yep. So stay patient, stay vigilant. Oh, they're coming for me, evidently.
Yeah.
And stay tuned to your Auto Advocate. We're going to continue to update you as new data, new news stories break. We got nothing better to do. We're here to share that information so that when you are ready to buy, you can feel like you're making the right decision. Because as you always like to say, Dad,
knowledge is power. And if I hear a knock at your door, then I know why I heard those sirens.
Cut the video. I love you, Pops.
I love you too. I'll talk to you later, handsome.
Yeah, you'll need to bail me out. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Goodness.